This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, June 6th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
There seems to be an official bromance breakup at the White House.
Elon and I had a great relationship.
I'm Jim Roope.
President Trump is making an analogy as the war between Ukraine and Russia rages.
Not going to be pretty.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Could feuding impact spending?
I will be voting no.
I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a losing day. Investors were riveted by the Trump-Musk feud. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Another of Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriends told jurors about lengthy sexual encounters he directed her in Julie Walker, New York.
A Republican turned Democrat to run for governor in Florida. And who stole this rock band's instruments? Getting to the heart of the matter. All ahead on America in the Morning. President Trump says he's not sure if he and Elon Musk will remain friends after the former director of Doge left the administration, a parting which has devolved into an online shouting match. Jim Roope has the latest on what's now an escalating Trump-Musk feud.
During a press avail with the German chancellor at the White House, Mr. Trump was asked about the criticism Musk has been posting about the president's so-called big, beautiful bill.
I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible.
In what some have been characterizing as a somber tone, the president said he wasn't sure if the two would still be friends.
Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore.
Mr. Trump went on to suggest that there were two things that may have made Musk mad.
He wanted, and rightfully, he recommended somebody from that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA, and I didn't think it was appropriate. And he happened to be a Democrat, like totally Democrat. And I say, look, we won. We get certain privileges, and one of the privileges we don't have to appoint a Democrat.
The other is the revoking of electronic vehicle credits in the big, beautiful bill.
They're having a hard time, the electric vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been in there. That's been, I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning.
The president also said it seems to be a trend. People happy in the administration, but once they leave it, they get unhappy and even angry.
I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others, too. They leave, and they wake up in the morning, and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different. And they become hostile.
Musk has been on the attack, responding to Mr. Trump's comments. He posted on X that the reason the Jeffrey Epstein files have not been released is because President Trump's in those files. And without him, Mr. Trump would have lost the election and Democrats would have controlled the House. He's also calling the big, beautiful bill outrageous and a pork-filled abomination. He posted on his platform, put the EV credits back in and take the rest of the pork out. It seems, as many have said, the bromance is over. I'm Jim Roope.
Along with commenting on Elon Musk, President Trump had a full day of events at the White House, which included his call with China's leader, Xi Jinping, and an Oval Office visit with Germany's new chancellor. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani covers the president.
President Trump is making an analogy as the war between Ukraine and Russia rages.
It's probably not going to be pretty.
The president likens it to little kids fighting.
Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey. You see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds. Let them go for a little while before you pull them apart.
Saying he relayed that analogy yesterday in a call with Russia's Vladimir Putin, who vowed to retaliate for Ukraine's recent drone offensive deep inside Russia.
This is the birth certificate of Donald Trump's grandfather, born in 1869, close to Bad Dürkheim.
Right?
Yeah.
That's called
and
serious.
His Christian name was Friedrich.
Right? That's serious German.
Serious
right?
German name.
That's serious German. Bad Dürkheim is serious German. But I want to thank you very much for, first of all, I want to thank you for that. That's
My
beautiful.
pleasure.
Thank you.
president spoke alongside German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who says the president must be the one to make the war end.
He is the key person in the world.
While stressing Germany is on Ukraine's side.
And we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Big beautiful bill? Not so fast. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning and scanning the radar for severe weather today. AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton has the Friday forecast.
The zone facing at least some risk for severe thunderstorms is not expected to extend quite as far into the northeastern U.S. as it did on Thursday, when storms produced damaging winds and occasional hail from northeastern Ohio and northwestern Pennsylvania toward central New York, with some storm damage also reported in northern Maine close to the Canadian border. For today, afternoon and evening thunderstorms should stay mostly below severe criteria from the Ohio-Pennsylvania border through northern New Jersey, most of New York State, and just about all of New England away from the coast, with less storm coverage likely to the north and east of Portland, Maine. Otherwise, today's severe weather area covers a very similar zone to that from Thursday, with storms again expected to bring hail, strong winds, and some tornadoes to an area from far southeastern Wyoming to just west of the Big Bend of Texas and much of western Texas and Oklahoma, with points to the east of there through northern Arkansas, most of Tennessee, the south side of the St. Louis area, and just about all of the Ohio Valley, once again presenting a much more limited risk for tornadoes, but still posing the hail and wind threat within any storm. It's a fairly blizzard weather day for many places, though, with afternoon thunderstorms expected to dot the southeast and thunder showers for parts of the upper Midwest. Areas like central Illinois and Indiana that will be north of the severe threat still face showers and general thunderstorms, with a stray storm this afternoon from western Colorado through central and southern Utah into the high ground of central California near the Nevada border. In Brooklyn, Michigan, expect a warmer day today with some sun and a spotty shower, the high 75. For Brooklyn, New York, look for a mix of clouds and sun with a stray afternoon thunderstorm and a high of 81. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Political shift in Florida, where former Republican Congressman and Donald Trump critic David Jolly has filed to run as a Democrat in the Sunshine State's governor's 2026 election. So far, no Democrat, aside from Jolly, is in the race to replace term-limited Ron DeSantis. Jolly said Florida's affordability crisis was his reason for running, and blamed Republicans in Tallahassee for the fact that so many people at his town halls say they're anxious about how they'll continue to afford to live in Florida. The fallout between President Trump and Elon Musk could have implications on the president's spending bill. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
As Republicans move toward a July 4th goal to get President Trump's big, beautiful bill passed, there is some hesitancy among Republicans to back the measure. This week, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said that the bill would add $2.4 trillion to federal deficits over the next 10 years, and it could strip health coverage from millions of Americans. Republican Senator Rand Paul said Congress is kind of like a bad-behaving teenager when it comes to spending. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters that changes are being made to the bill. He said at the end of the day, though, the math is simple. 51 in the Senate, 218 in the House. He said that's what we're working toward. This is House Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene pushes back against the legislation. She said this week that she regrets voting for it, claiming she's since learned a clause in the measure would take away states' rights to make laws to regulate AI for 10 years.
I'm pro-humanity. I am not pro-transhumanity. And when it comes to AI and regulation, when we get to vote on this bill again, I will be voting no because of this clause.
Former Doge head Elon Musk has called the bill a disgusting abomination, and the back and forth between Musk and the president is heating up.
Elon's a friend, and we have very friendly conversations. This is not an adversarial process at all, and I just want to make sure he fully understands what the legislation is, and that there is no correlation between the size of a bill and how beautiful it is, right? He says it can't be big and beautiful. It certainly can be both.
House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters yesterday he was having conversations with Musk and clarified that this is not a spending bill.
It's a budget reconciliation bill, and we're achieving the largest tax cuts in history, the largest savings in history.
Musk, though, urging lawmakers to kill the bill. He's stressing how he believes that recent expansions to the legislation would erase the cost cuts that he made at the Department of Government Efficiency. Trump, though, suggests the Tesla owner is bitter over cuts to electric vehicles. I'm Clayton Neville.
Trump-Musk feud sours investors on Wall Street. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. With the Friday Report on America in the Morning, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a down day for the markets. Investors very distracted during the day by the feud between President Trump and Tesla CEO Elon Musk, which escalated during the trading hours. Tesla shares tanked 14% as that fight between CEO Elon Musk and the president got hot. Here's CNBC's Eamon Javers with some of what the president posted.
President posting on his social media account, the easiest way to save money in our budget is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that no one else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy.
And Javers also reported on this shocking Musk post.
Elon Musk dropped another time to drop the really big bomb at real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT, exclamation point.
President Trump and others who've been identified in Epstein's social circles have denied any involvement in Epstein's criminal behavior. The back and forth rattled Tesla investors. After Musk posted, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election," investors want Musk just to stick with running his companies, and they're worried he could go back into politics. China's President Xi Jinping held a phone call with President Trump yesterday. The two countries poised for trade officials to meet and resume trade talks over tariffs. Here's President Trump at the White House.
We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. It's very complex stuff, and we straightened it out.
Now, CNBC's Eunice Yoon is in Beijing with the take that was presented to the Chinese people.
This statement and the conversation that President Xi Jinping and President Trump had, I think, is going to be perceived here in China as a win for China. The readout from the Chinese side is suggesting that President Xi Jinping had essentially given a lecture to President Trump on the correct course of action for Sino-U.S. relations.
Investors this morning waiting for the May jobs report coming at 8:30 Eastern. The weekly jobless claims number out yesterday was alarming. It was the highest in 8 months. Just in the past few weeks, companies that have announced cuts include Walmart, Amazon, Microsoft, and Procter & Gamble. On today's watch list, it is a Jobs Friday. We mentioned we get that May employment report. We also get the latest on consumer credit. Today is National Donut Day. Deals and discounts at various chains. New in theaters, IFC's Dangerous Animals, XYZ's The Ritual, and Lionsgate's John Wick Ballerina.
There's been more of a few movies in that series. All right, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. Famous rock band's stolen instruments leads to nationwide search when America in the Morning continues after these messages. In New York this week, the trial for Sean Diddy Combs has included testimony from former girlfriends and a bodyguard, and now a serious warning to the disgraced music mogul from the judge. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
With testimony similar to Cassie Ventura's, another of Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriends told jurors about lengthy sexual encounters he directed her in with male escorts. The single mother using the pseudonym Jane said she got to know Combs while on a girls' trip to Miami in 2020 and was still dating him during his 2024 arrest. While testifying, Jane dropped her head and appeared to get emotional, wiping away tears. Her testimony continues Friday. Meanwhile, the judge warned Combs about his energetic nodding to the jury, saying it could result in his exclusion from the courtroom. The music mogul has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and racketeering. Julie Walker, New York.
They went to perform in Atlantic City. That is until someone stole their instruments. Lisa Dwyer reports there's been an arrest after guitars were stolen from the rock band Heart.
Authorities have made an arrest in the theft of two irreplaceable instruments owned by members of the rock band Heart. The band was set to kick off their An Evening with Heart tour in Atlantic City and had preset their gear the day before. Among the items stolen were a custom-built purple sparkle baritone Telecaster guitar with a hand-painted headstock made for band member Nancy Wilson and a vintage 1966 Gibson EM50 mandolin that band member Paul Moak has played for over 25 years. Atlantic City police say surveillance video initially led them to a 57-year-old Pleasantville man who was later seen on video walking through various parts of the city trying to sell the instruments. He eventually sold one, while the other remains unaccounted for. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Friday, June 6, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
President Trump is ramping up his feud with Elon Musk. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
President Trump's new message to some people trying to come to America.
We don't want them.
I'm Richard Johnson.
A teenager in Massachusetts telling his story after being detained by ICE officials. I'm Clayton Neville.
Amazon working on full AI humanoid robot delivery. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
The latest on the Trump travel ban. A man charged with making Biden-generated robocalls gets his day in court. Charges filed against the suspect in the Boulder, Colorado attack, and remembering D-Day. Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. What sort of active weather can we expect to the end of the work week? Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with the forecast.
As a cold front only slowly crawls its way through the interior northeast today, numerous showers and some thunderstorms can be expected from southern Maine, south and west across most of the region, including New England, northern parts of New Jersey, all but far northern New York State, and all but southeastern Pennsylvania. These storms will be fueled by a rather summer-like combination of heat and humidity around the northeast, which will once again lead to thunderstorms that should be quite potent in spots, with gusty winds, intense downpours, even some small hail at times. To the south and west of that zone, storms have a higher likelihood of reaching severe limits from southern parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois to east central Tennessee, then extending westward into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, southward across much of West Texas, and northward from there into eastern New Mexico, and through the I-25 corridor into both the Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Denver metro areas into tonight. Storms in this rather large area will be capable of producing hail and damaging wind gusts of at least 55 to 65 miles per hour, with the risk for tornadoes again generally limited to the high plains, just as it was on Thursday. Thunder showers, more spotty in coverage, also develop from around Omaha, north and east into eastern South Dakota, and toward the western upper peninsula of Michigan, with more typical warm season afternoon thunderstorms in spots across most of the southeastern states. A similar risk for afternoon thunderstorms exists in the west today, again stretching from the Sierra Nevada of California eastward through central Nevada and much of southern Utah into western Colorado. Otherwise, the story for today will be very warm conditions from far northern California through the Pacific Northwest. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A day of accusations between President Trump and Elon Musk, with Trump saying billions in government contracts to Musk should be ended, and Musk calling for Trump's impeachment and alleging the Jeffrey Epstein files have not been released because the president may be in them. As Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports, all of this is playing out online and both sides are escalating.
President Trump is ramping up his feud with Elon Musk.
He's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it.
It was just a week ago that the president lauded him in the Oval Office as Musk left the administration.
I look forward to continuing to be a friend and advisor to the president.
In the days since, their breakup has played out in public as Musk has ripped the president's signature tax cuts and spending package.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything.
Saying Musk may be suffering Trump derangement syndrome. Musk responded in real time on his social media platform, writing whatever, and later saying, without me, Trump would have lost the election. The president fired back on his platform, threatening to cut Musk's government contracts and subsidies, to which Musk replied, "This just gets better and better. Go ahead, make my day."
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
In the stock market, all of Tesla's post-election gains were wiped out in a single day yesterday. Tesla's stock on Wall Street sold off by 14%, erasing close to $150 billion in value. Of course, that wasn't the only news out of the White House yesterday. Correspondent Rich Johnson has more on the president's visit with Germany's leader, his phone call with China's Xi Jinping, comments about the Russian-Ukraine war, and his new travel ban.
When it comes to people wishing to come to the U.S. from some countries,
we don't want them.
President Trump in a video statement citing national security for a new move.
Today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others.
19 countries in total facing either partial or complete bans on its citizens coming to the U.S. That includes many from Afghanistan, whom the U.S. promised safe haven after they worked with U.S. forces for years.
We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. It's very complex stuff, and we straightened it out. The agreement was we're going to have Scott and Howard and Jameson will be going and meeting with their top people and continue it forward. But no, I think we have everything. I think we're in very good shape with China and the trade deal. We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points.
Also Thursday, the much-anticipated phone call with Chinese leader Xi Jinping happened. On social media, Trump said the call lasted 90 minutes and focused exclusively on trade. He added that he invited Xi to visit the U.S. and Xi invited Trump to visit China. Back in the Oval Office, the president welcomed German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, calling him a good man to deal with. Merz is looking to keep the U.S. engaged in Ukraine's war with Russia. He compared it with what happened 81 years ago today on the beaches at Normandy, France.
This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant day.
This was not a great day.
In the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
And avoiding an Oval Office argument, Merz stayed silent when Trump suggested they should just let Ukraine and Russia keep fighting. I'm Rich Johnson.
Correspondent Lisa Dwyer has more on reaction to the Trump administration's new list of 19 nations facing either a full ban or restrictions, and what that means for one country in particular once allied with the United States.
As advocates for countries now on President Donald Trump's new travel ban list try to digest the details, agencies such as Afghan-Evac says the Afghan community in particular feels betrayed.
What I'm hearing from Afghans, what I'm hearing from immigrants all over this world, is that they're terrified.
Sean Van Diver, president of Afghan-Evac.
Our standing in the world is weakening, and ultimately that's going to weaken our national security because nobody's going to trust us. If we can't keep our word to people who took life in our name, if we can't take care of the family of active duty service members, how could we take care of them?
While the Trump administration has largely barred Afghans, there are exceptions, mostly for the special immigrant visa holders who closely supported the U.S.'s long war in Afghanistan. The travel ban comes as other forms of support for Afghans who allied with the U.S. are being steadily eroded. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
When we return on America in the Morning, beef recall and the door-to-door Amazon robots. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. A teenager in Massachusetts is out on bond after being detained by immigration officials who were looking for his father. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Lawyers for Marcelo Gomez da Silva calling the judge's ruling a hollow victory, as the teenager may have to wear an ankle monitor or receive house visits. The 18-year-old Milford High School student was detained by ICE officials on his way to volleyball practice. He's a Brazilian national but has lived in the U.S. since he was a young boy. He was driving his dad's car when he was pulled over. His father apparently was the target of the ICE investigation. After days in a detention facility, Gomez da Silva was released on bond.
I heard a lot of people talk bad about my dad, but if you want to talk bad about my dad, you have to talk bad about me because he raised me. And if I have so much support from everyone from my town, then he doesn't deserve any hate because I was raised from him.
He described subpar conditions at
Supposedly, we're supposed to stay there for under 72 hours. Like I said, I stayed there for 6 days.
The teenager was granted a $2,000 bond, and the judge said that while he's not a danger to the community, he could pose a flight risk. I'm Clayton Neville.
The political consultant who could face prison time for faking robocalls from former President Joe Biden is now on trial. Correspondent Jennifer King is following proceedings.
A criminal trial is underway in New Hampshire for a political consultant, Stephen Kramer, who admitted to orchestrating artificial intelligence robocalls that mimicked the voice of former President Joe Biden.
What a bunch of malarkey.
Kramer paid a New Orleans magician $150 to create the recording that went out to thousands of New Hampshire voters 2 days before the state's 2024 presidential primary.
It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
In opening statements, Assistant Attorney General Brendan O'Donnell says the case is about a brazen attack on election integrity, while Kramer's defense attorney argues that the robocall was his opinion and commentary on the Democrats' initial decision to block the state's delegates to the convention. Prosecution witnesses who received the phone message said they took it as an effort to discourage Democrats from turning out. Jurors in Belknap County are being asked to consider 11 felony charges related to voter suppression and 11 misdemeanor charges of impersonating a candidate. Kramer could face decades in prison if convicted. I'm Jennifer King.
28 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The suspect in last Sunday's attack on a march for Israeli hostages held in Gaza is formally charged with 118 state criminal charges, including 28 counts of attempted murder. Prosecutors filed formal charges against 45-year-old Mohammed Soliman, who's being held in the Boulder, Colorado County Jail. The man is additionally charged with 14 counts of first-degree assault, 14 counts of attempted use of an explosives or incendiary device, and 60 violent crime sentence enhancers. Soliman also faces federal hate crime charges, but that could come in his separate federal court case, which will be heard later today. Soliman is being represented by a public defender. America in the Morning continues. Well, you may want to double-check your fridge and freezer. Correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports on a Whole Foods ground beef product you may need to remove.
Officials have issued a public health alert for 1-pound packages of organic rancher beef. The ground beef was sold at Whole Foods markets and may be contaminated with E. coli bacteria. The U.S. Food Safety and Inspection Service is specifically warning about packages produced between May 22nd and May 23rd. They have use-by dates of June 19th and June 20th. A recall was not issued since the meat is no longer being sold, but officials warn some consumers may still have it in their refrigerators. They advise throwing it away or returning it to the store. To date, no illnesses linked to the organic rancher beef product have been reported. Symptoms of E. coli include dehydration, diarrhea, and cramps. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
Your next delivery person may not be human. Amazon is reportedly training fully autonomous robots to take over not just factory work, but door-to-door delivery. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
Amazon is reportedly working on robots that will not only sort your packages at the warehouse, but drive to your location and hand deliver them. Website The Information reports an anonymous source involved in the effort said that they have almost finished constructing an indoor humanoid park obstacle course using a Rivian electric van for training purposes. Training these new agentic AI humanoid robots that hitch a ride in the back of Amazon's vans and spring out to deliver packages. An Amazon rep, in a statement to Silicon Valley magazine, said that instead of rigid specialized robots, we're creating systems that can hear, understand, and act on natural language commands. This comes as no surprise since Amazon acquired the robotaxi company Zoox in 2020, suggesting a desire to fully automate end-to-end package delivery from the warehouse to your front door. For more, follow me on X @ChuckPalm.
Friday Sports has arrived. Here's Robert Workman.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night in Oklahoma City went pretty much according to form, until it didn't. Tyrese Halliburton hit a jumper with 0.3 of a second left to give the Pacers a 111-110 upset of the Thunder.
We just stuck with it. You know, they got a lot of confidence in me to make that shot.
It was the first lead Indiana held all night, and also the Pacers' fourth late comeback in this postseason, this one erasing a 15-point deficit over the final 10 minutes. Game 2 comes up Sunday in OKC. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Edmonton. The Oilers beat the Panthers in overtime in Game 1. Tennis, the French Open Women's Final will pit number 1 Aryna Sabalenka and 2-seed Coco Gauff tomorrow. Sabalenka ousted 3-time defending champ Iga Swiatek in 3 sets, ending Swiatek's 26-match winning streak at Roland Garros. Gauff breezed past French wildcard Lois Boisson. Men's semifinals today. Their final will be on Sunday. Baseball, the Diamondbacks scored 7 times in the ninth to upend the Braves 11-10 and sweep that series. Atlanta was up 10-4 after 8 before Arizona sent 12 men to the plate in the ninth. Yankees blanked the Guardians 4-0. Max Fried allowed just 1 hit over 6 innings.
Just want to be able to go out there and go deep into games, and nice to get to 100 pitches and coming out with the win.
Orioles scuttled the Mariners 4-3 for their 6th straight win. Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson back-to-back jacks to grab the lead in the 6th. It took a minute, well, more like 3 months, but Aaron Rodgers agreed to a 1-year deal with the Steelers. Now the countdown begins for Pittsburgh's season opener at the Jets, where Rodgers played last year. That's Friday Sports.
Thank you, sir. A controversial gold medal winning Olympic boxer sidelined. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. John Wick series is getting a spin-off as it hits theaters this weekend. Here's America in the Morning's Kevin Carr with a look at Ballerina.
To milk more money out of the John Wick franchise, Lionsgate offers moviegoers the spin-off Ballerina.
Welcome to the Continental.
The story follows an orphan raised by a secret society as a ballerina and assassin.
You want to win? Improvise. Adapt. Cheat.
When she comes of age, she goes rogue to take out the cult that killed her father.
They killed my father. This isn't done until they're dead.
On the good side, Ballerina leans into what makes the John Wick films so enjoyable. Non-stop action, ridiculous stunts, loud fight sequences, and sizzling cinematography popping with color and contrast.
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
Star Ana de Armas holds her own from a physicality standpoint, and her acting has improved over the years. She makes the character relatable, but she doesn't let her adorable side take over.
You have no idea what you just walked into.
On the downside, this film is a bit much. It's a thin story with a basic revenge setup, though not as quirky as Keanu Reeves going after the guys who killed his dog. While the action is top-notch, the movie feels like it just moves from fight scene to fight scene without caring about the plot.
I know your pain.
Still entertaining with a rip-roaring third-act choice of weaponry, Ballerina works.
What a pleasure to see you again.
Ballerina gets 3 flamethrowers out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
A controversial gold medal winning Olympic boxer did not register for an upcoming tournament after the sport's governing body announced a new sex test policy. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Olympic champion Aman Khalif is skipping the Eindhoven Box Cup in the Netherlands less than a week after World Boxing announced mandatory sex testing for all athletes. Algerian boxer Khalif won gold at the Paris Games amid scrutiny over her eligibility. Tournament media director Dirk Renders says, quote, "The decision of Aman's exclusion is not ours. We regret it." Khalif had intended to return to international competition at the tournament before World Boxing announced its new sex testing policy last Friday. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
It was 81 years ago today that American and Allied troops participated in Operation Overlord. D-Day, as it became known, was the largest seaborne invasion in history, with 160,000 American, British, and Canadian troops crossing the English Channel that day as a part of a vast armada of nearly 7,000 vessels, including over 1,200 warships, landing on a 50-mile stretch of the Normandy coast in France. Facing extreme fire from gun encampments by the Nazis, more than 4,400 troops made the ultimate sacrifice that day. Their loss followed the invasion of France to begin, which would lead to Germany's surrender just 11 months later. Perhaps you know of someone who served from that greatest generation. I'm reminded of my wife's father, who jumped out under German fire on that fateful day. He earned a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, and the affection of his entire family and grandsons who now serve in the military. That's our show for today, Friday, June 6th, 2025. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.